At the time of recording this, we are officially 6 days away. Will he make it? Will he make it? I am still so convinced that Khamzat Chimaev is not going to make this fight with Robert Whittaker. What's happened to the hype train? This guy, since he came into the UFC, was easily, since Conor McGregor, was one of the most hyped up prospects. The steam that he picked up in his first UFC fights, the sort of stats that he was building, I think it took 4 fights for him to get punched in the face, which is one of the craziest stats. He came in during the lockdown, during COVID times, and was just murdering people on these Apex cards. Chimaev's career has taken a real unfortunate turn. The guy's still undefeated, but just generally due to injuries, poor management, the guy's lost so much of his steam. Now, this matchup was supposed to happen back in June, and Chimaev pulls out less than 2 weeks from the fight. Robert Whittaker, like the true savage he is, steps in, faces Alaskarov, a pretty unknown guy, especially to Whittaker, who'd been fighting ranked opposition for the last 10 years, Whittaker proves his mettle, his honor, and just why he's such a badass, taking that fight and dusting off Alaskarov in the first round. Now, the matchup has been rebooked. This matchup is so electric. One of my most anticipated fights of the whole year, Robert Whittaker, he's been one of my favorite fighters from the jump. What he's done up at middleweight, just his heart, his spirit, that 1-2 high kick hit behind the right hand is a thing of beauty. Everyone falls for it. So, yeah, I love Robert Whittaker. And Chimaev, like I said, him coming up, the guy was a crazy, crazy talent. Everyone wanted to see Chimaev. And unfortunately, the guy hasn't fought in about a year. Like I said, he's been riddled with injuries and illness. More so the illness. The guy's immune system is really, really letting him down. You can see how hard he trains. And I wonder if him constantly redlining the pace, constantly pushing his bodies to the absolute limits, is causing his immune system to just fail him. And it's really getting in the way of him getting to these fights. I know he had COVID and that really impacted him for a long time, and he just hasn't been the same since. The guy is an absolute madman. We talk about pushing a pace. You know exactly what you're getting with Chimaev. From the jump, it is going to be a first round from hell. He showed to slow down, after the second round, into the third round, he slows, he does. But that first round, good luck. Coming into this matchup, especially on the odds, I think Whittaker is getting completely overlooked. I think people are in for a real surprise here. Robert Whittaker, like we talked about with the momentum, he's coming in at the top of his game. And we talk about someone who's had to rebuild themselves in the UFC, which is one of the hardest things to do. He gets so close, loses to Duplessis, has to rebuild again. The guy's been a champion before, and his hunger to regain that is absolutely incredible because he's putting himself through incredible challenges to continue to show up and achieve his dreams. So I think Robert Whittaker is getting severely overlooked. Khamzat Chimaev, yes, he's explosive. His wrestling is so dynamic, and he is an absolute killer. But at middleweight, we really haven't seen him tested. And I know that whole thing about we haven't seen him tested yet, and, how can you until you get a matchup like this? But Robert Whittaker, who is taking that guy out in the first round? Who's bulldozing that guy? I know Duplessis got him out of there pretty quick, but Chimaev's not going to be able to do that to Whittaker. Chimaev's going to be coming in with a very heavy grappling game plan, and I cannot, for the life of me, see Robert Whittaker get submitted or TKO'd in that first round. I know anything's possible, but his durability, his experience in these top level fights, he shared 50 minutes in the octagon with Yoel Romero, and we talk about bulldozers. He really struggled to take Whittaker down, could not hold him down, and Whittaker showed and proved in those two fights how much of a dog he is and how deep he's willing to dig just continuously. The injuries he had and worked through in those fights were, nothing short of special and spectacular. So Robert Whittaker is really getting overlooked here. I know Chimaev is going to come hard. And yes, it's going to be a really, really tough first round. I expect Whittaker to lose that first round. Guys, we've got 5 here. We've got 5 to work. And Whittaker ain't going anywhere. He's going to build over those 5 rounds. We've never seen Chimaev pass the 3rd round. We've never seen him in these sort of waters tested. But you've continuously seen Robert Whittaker tested. Aside from the experience, look how the styles match up. If you talk about anti-wrestling, look no further than Robert Whittaker. That guy has some of the best takedown defense in all of the UFC. How he was getting his hips out of some of those Romero takedowns, absolutely spectacular. And that guy is huge and was a silver medalist in the Olympics. So even if Chimaev is able to get Whittaker down, I really don't think he's going to be able to hold him down. And the submission threat, yes, Chimaev is really, really good jiu-jitsu wise, and he jumps on it. He really goes for it when he sees a submission. But Whittaker is, grappling wise, very overlooked. His grappling is absolutely nasty. The guy won tournament upon tournament in Australia on the regional scene here, grappling wise. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and really, really good grappler. He's shown in all of these previous fights against really, really top-level competitors, how well he's able to keep the fight in his realm where he wants it. When Chimaev starts to feel he's losing the grip of the control of the fight, I think it's going to really, really worry him. And I think that's when it's going to start to all break down. Yes, Chimaev is a great, great hammer, but I don't know how good of a nail he is. And I think he's going to have to really go through that and push through that in this matchup. So I'm going to take Robert Whittaker via late round stoppage, potentially a decision as well. I think Chimaev is going to have a great first 5 to 10 minutes, but don't be surprised if Whittaker has success early in the fight as well, because he has dynamite in his hands. And yes, Chimaev's powerful, has good straight punches, good boxing, doesn't have the striking that Robert Whittaker does, doesn't have the feints, the setups. And if he's not careful, if he gets a bit tired and hangs on the feet with Whittaker, he's going to eat shin to the dome. Do not overlook Bobby Knuckles, Robert the Reaper Whittaker. Like I said, if the fight happens, we have to get there first. So 6 days and counting. Tune in to this one because like I said, this is going to be one of the most exciting, most anticipated matchups of the whole year. Let me know what you guys think, hey? I know a lot of you are probably on Chimaev and fights aren't won on paper. Fights are not won on paper. So let's see. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but those two warriors have to go in there and do the dance. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And if you could like, comment, subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon.